In this episode of Akram's Ideas, I share with you a review of the all-new Abi jumpsuit from SMYLY Patterns, so stay tuned! Hello and welcome. I'm Akram Tagabi-Barrett, and you're watching Akram's Ideas, bringing creative and crazy ideas to life. In this episode of Akram's Ideas, I am sharing yet another pattern review, this time on the latest SMYLY pattern. Now, a while back, I shared my review for the Samantha dress, which was the first pattern to come under the brand SMYLY, which stands for Sewing Makes You Love Yourself. And this pattern house slash magazine was the brainchild of Athena from Craftaholic and Hattie from Hattie Sews. And they teamed up to start putting together patterns for a variety of sizes and styles. So the first pattern was the Samantha dress, which was a faux wrap dress. So it had a wrap bodice and then it had a skirt, and it had some lovely details, including a collar and some ties at the sleeves, and it was just a really nice pattern. So I had the opportunity to be a pattern tester for the Samantha dress, and most recently SMYLY just released the all-new Abi jumpsuit pattern. So technically speaking, the Abi jumpsuit is an extension to the Samantha dress. So if you already have the Samantha dress, you can actually get the extension pack, which converts it from a wrap dress to a wrap jumpsuit with pants. And once again, I was lucky enough to be a pattern tester for Athena and Hattie, and I made a couple of versions of the Abi jumpsuit. So with that said, let's get into the review. Now, at the moment, jumpsuits seem to be all the trend. And to me, personally, I am not a big jumpsuit person. It just never appealed to me to make a jumpsuit, especially since basically you have to get undressed to go to the restroom, and that does not appeal to me. But when I got asked to do the pattern testing and it was for a jumpsuit, I'm like, how can I make this something that I would want to wear? What kind of style am I looking for here? And what I realized were the 1930s, 1940s beach pajamas were technically a jumpsuit. And so in going to make the Abi jumpsuit, I decided to try to do a style like the 1930s beach pajamas. So before I got started, I decided to start off with a quick muslin to try to test the fit and see how the pattern worked. And as I said before, the Abi jumpsuit is basically an extension from the Samantha dress. So when I first got started, again, even though I was just doing a test, I wanted something nautical to kind of go with the idea of beach pajamas. So this is my first version over here, which is made in this stretchy blue jersey. It's a ribbed jersey, so it's pretty stretchy, and they just suggest something not too stretchy, but I had it and I thought it would look pretty. Now, I knew right away that I did not have enough blue to make the full jumpsuit, so I went with the culottes version. I ended up cutting the sleeves, I think, slightly shorter than the pattern, just whatever length I had. And I added contrasting white ribbing around the collar and on the cuffs just to tie it in, because I didn't have enough for the collar pieces out of the blue. Now, I did make the Samantha dress way back, I want to say March now or something. And if you've been following my vlogs, you will know that I have been on a weight loss journey. So when I cut the Samantha dress, I cut a size 16. And that was a few months ago now. So when I cut the Abi dress, I'm like, I'm just going to cut a size 16. And that was a bad idea. Whenever you're losing weight, or just whenever in general, it's good practice to constantly measure yourself because the pants on this jumpsuit were like massive, massive. The waist was just way too big. It fit all right in the bust, but the waist was just way too big. So I decided to go ahead and for the final version, which of course is what I'm wearing here, I cut a size 14, and I probably could have gone down another size if I had been using a stretchy fabric. What I ended up making the final version out of was a polyester stretch. So it's super soft, I should say, but it's not incredibly stretchy. I mean, there's stretch to it to get me in and out, but it's kind of a little bit form-fitting and snug. But before I get into this one, let me go on about this one. So overall, I would say the pattern worked out really, really well. If you've watched the trailer on the SMYLY or Hattie and Athena's channels where they talk a little bit about the Abi jumpsuit, they mentioned that they reworked the bodice so that it wouldn't have as much gaping, which is true. I would say that it has been reworked fairly nicely. My issue is that I think when I sew it, because you've got to try it on and kind of pin it to where you want, and when I sew in general, I overthink things and worry, well, what if it won't fit? So I always feel like I don't pull it as much as it needs to be pulled before I sew it on, and I get this weird gaping because it just needs to be pulled in a little bit more, and I think that's a fault of me not doing that before I stitch the bodice to the bottom, rather than a problem with the pattern itself. But overall, it had a lot less gaping in my opinion. I still like on this one, I'm still wearing it with a little brooch, mainly because the brooch matches, but also because I feel like it just half an inch, it just could be pulled in some more, and it's me that didn't sew it up that way. So this first version is super comfortable. It does have side seam pockets, which are really nice as well, but it was just super big and baggy. Oh, that was the other thing, is that the crotch on this is the biggest problem I had with this pattern, is that the crotch was way too big. I went ahead and had to do a crotch adjustment on it. I measured the crotch, full crotch measurement, and then measured mine, and it was a good 3 inches difference. It was 3 inches too low. So I had to bring it up 1.5 on each pattern piece to get it to be the right length. So that's another problem with this one. Maybe even more so than the baggy problem, is that the crotch is just like way down there. But if I somehow make it where I add a casing, maybe that would raise everything up. I don't know. Maybe you have a suggestion. It's so comfy. I mean, I could just wear it around the house, but it's so comfy. I want to make it where it's more comfortable to wear, because right now it's just baggy and just feels awkward. But that was the first version. So let's get to the version that I'm wearing. So the version that I'm wearing, like I said before, when I got this pattern and found out it was a jumpsuit, I was like, how would I wear a jumpsuit? So I started going through my Pinterest boards and finding the beach pajamas from the 30s and 40s. And with a lot of beach pajamas, they're usually like a contrast. It almost looks like a 2-piece versus a 1-piece, even though a lot of them were 1-pieces. And as you can see, and I'll put some pictures, I basically made this look like a 2-piece. So the color of the pants is this lovely teal, and then I had some florally, same type of polyester knitty fabric for the bodice. And I did the collar from the Samantha dress. For this, you can, again, mix and match because it is an extension to the Samantha dress. So I did the collar pattern for that. And I added the collar because a lot of the beach pajamas had collars, and I wanted to give it that stylish look. I think I did the 3/4 sleeves, and I added the cuffs on the sleeves. It's just a very small cuff. Basically, it's basically almost the same as the tie pattern, only without the ties. It's sewn into a full cuff. And I just did that to add more of the contrasting fabrics. I will say I love this color. It's just so pretty. And it's not a color that I would normally wear. I don't have a lot of teals and sea greens and things like that. But I knew that I wanted to use something like these polyester knits that they're, I don't even know how to describe them. They've got stretch, but they're silky feeling, sort of a satiny, silky, soft feeling. And they're not overly stretchy. For both the muslin and the final version, I did the wide legs. And of course, I knew that I needed to do the wide legs because in my mind, you know, those beach pajamas are going to have that wide leg style. And oh, I just love them. I probably could hem these a little bit. I used the longer leg. And I did the standard hem, but I'm short. So these could stand to be hemmed a little more. Now, overall, what do I think about it? I will say that I'm really surprised. For this pattern, like I said, I cut the 14 at the pants. I cut a straight 14 at the pants. And at the blouse top, I cut a 16 grading down to a 14 because my bust was too big for the 14. I couldn't get it closed. And the sleeves were way too tight on the 14. But it could also be because of the fabric that I was using. And so I ended up recutting the bodice at a 16 grading to a 14 instead of cutting everything at a 14. Because originally when I put this one on, I thought, oh, I'll just cut a straight 14. But again, this was super stretchy fabric in comparison to this one. Like I said, I never really thought of myself as a jumpsuit person, but after making this one and wearing it, I will say, I'm feeling a lot better about my weight loss journey because it is so, it feels very form-fitting on me and it just feels like it looks good. Like, oh, you have a waist now. So I really like that look. I like the look that I was going for versus just a regular kind of runaround jumpsuit. I like that beach pajama 1930s look. I wore it with a big sun hat in my photos to kind of give that look of being out on the beach. And I plan to take this to the beach this summer. So maybe I'll get some photos there. My only thing, and it's not really anything against the pattern, but it's more relevant to my vision of the beach pajamas. I think the sleeves are a little tight. Not that they're tight feeling on me. I mean, they work, they're good. But for the style I was going, I feel like this jumpsuit feels a little 70s with the tighter arms. Versus the 30s and 40s. So if I were to try to do this as a beach pajama look again, I think what I'd do, make a different sleeve on it. Something with more fuller sleeve, more wide sleeve, maybe more of a traditional kimono sleeve or even a fluted sleeve or something like that. Because right now as it looks a little bit more like I'm gonna get ready to go to the roller disco than to a 1930s beach party. Overall, I am really happy with this pattern, and I will say it was super, super, super easy to make, just like the Samantha dress. The bodice and the sleeves are grown on, so it just 3 pieces for that, whips up in no time, then adding the pants. And the pants were super easy too. These are like the 3rd pair of pants that I've made, so I'm really happy with how that worked out. Keep in mind, if you are on the shorter side, you may want to make that crotch measurement and check. I'll put in the comments below the tutorial to Professor Pincushion's YouTube video where she does a crotch adjustment, and that's exactly how I made the adjustments from this one to this one. So this one fits perfectly. The pants look great. I have no problems, and it's exactly the right size, and it hits me exactly at the right spot. So I will put the link to that tutorial in the comments below if you're interested on that. So make sure to check your pattern pieces before you start the project, because it'll save yourself a lot of problems in the long run. Overall, I'm really happy with it. Like I said, I might try this pattern again, doing some sort of different sleeves just because of my style and what I'd like to make this jumpsuit become for me. But if you're looking for a really quick make and basically secret pajamas, this is the pattern for you. Well, once again, I'd like to thank Athena and Hattie for making such a wonderful pattern. And if you've made the Abby jumpsuit, I'd love to hear in the comments what your thoughts were. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Akram's Ideas, and if you did, be sure to give us a big thumbs up. Don't forget to follow Akram's Ideas on social media and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching!